Hello, my name is Matthew Horn, and I am an interpersonal communications major at the University of Houston. And recently I took a trip with the Jack J. Valenti School of Communications at U of H, where every student on the trip was enrolled in the course Com 4397. And over the span of the trip, we visited Munich, Prague, and Berlin. Each student was responsible for presenting over a small customized area of study. Today in this video, I will be showing how Today in my video, I will be showing how both American and German cultures view working and stay-at-home mothers. This includes the roles that governments play in each of these circumstances and of both and the social norms of both cultures. The two communication concepts I will be using for the video today are individualism versus collectivism and long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. In the video Make Me a German, it was clear that Germany was much more of a collective culture than here in the US, and after going on a trip there, it was obvious that this was the case, specifically in regards to my area of study. For example, mothers in Germany stay at home much longer after having a child than mothers in the U.S. In fact, the German government pays new mother or sometimes father to stay at home in order to raise the child. They pay up to 60% of what they would normally earn if they were working a full-time job beforehand, and they are guaranteed their jobs when they come back. These mothers can utilize this government aid for up to 3 years after having their child. In the U.S., the government does not pay for a mother who decides to take off from work, take off from her job to raise her child, or a father in that case. When a woman who is working has a child, generally she is given 6 weeks of fully paid maternity leave by her employer. Then she is expected to return to work. It is clear that the German society as a whole is much more collective when compared to the United States. Germany sees the importance of having mothers, or in some cases fathers, be more a part of their children's lives, and due to the culture's collectivism, or the collectivism of the culture, the government gladly provides funding in order for this to take place. This works in Germany largely because men and women do not view being a mother as something lesser. They are aware that good mothers are a necessity in order to raise children that would contribute to society. Whereas in America, having a child is oftentimes viewed by many as holding oneself back in life. In fact, many women in America wait later in life to have a child, oftentimes because they want to be seen as accomplished before having a child. This is a perfect example to show America's individualistic culture, because many American women want others to view their individual self as significant or having achieved something in life. On a slightly different note, one thing I discovered through my interview with our tour guide, Julianne Schrimmer, was that women in both cultures who are not as highly educated were more likely to stay at home permanently after having a child. I found this interesting because there are not many similarities I picked up on between these two cultures, strictly regarding my area of study, that is. When the Berlin Wall came down in 1989, it brought together two forms of feminism. In the East Germany, women were expected to go back to work quickly after having their children, whereas in West Germany, it was considered normal for women to stay at home for a long time after having had a child. In fact, it was considered negligent by many people in West Germany for women to go back to work too soon. Over the last 30 years in America, married women with children have been making their way back into the workforce, largely due to the push by American feminists. For many years before this event, it was a social norm for women to stay at home after having had a child. American feminists have been pushing hard for women to quickly get back to in the workforce and compete with men for jobs. These two brief histories of American and German culture show how Germans are more long-term oriented and how Americans are very short-term oriented. To quote Emily Nesteroff, long-term orientation is future-focused and willing to delay immediate gratification to prepare for the future. The way Germans make a point to invest in their children's lives goes to show how they are long-term oriented. This is because they want their children to be better cared for, even if it means not furthering one's own career. In recent years, it has been a different story here in America. Most women in the U.S. would not make the same sacrifices as German women do. I believe this is because most Americans are short-term oriented, and again, to quote Emily, Short-term orientation is focused on a specific time frame, past, present, and the moment, but considering is more important than the future. I think this perfectly describes many Americans today, and please keep in mind this is not all Americans I'm referring to, just a majority. To conclude, I've clearly shown how German American cultures view and treat mothers, and how Germany is much more a collective culture when compared to America. Also, how America is short-term oriented and focused on immediate gratification, and how Germany is long-term oriented and focused more on the future and bettering of society. If I only learned one thing in participating in the Study Abroad Germany course this semester, and that I see benefiting me in the future, my understanding and continued scholarship in how each culture views working/stay-at-home mothers, it is that understanding a person from another culture, or understanding how another person from another culture communicates, is key when trying to understand that person. Thanks for watching.